All right, now that we've reviewed the whole dominant 7 German 6 material, how do we actually solve the Bing word solutions? Well, first, note that Bing word actually keeps the same chord across the entire system and then plots out random keys. And because you know that these chords are all going to be root position German or root position dominant 7s, you'll know that that bottommost note is the root of that chord that we're looking for, okay? So when we look at that chord again, the root is A flat. So whether this root is the dominant 7 or the German, the root is going to be A flat. If this chord functions as a dominant, then it will resolve either to D flat major or D flat minor. If this chord functions as a German, we know that it will resolve to C major or C minor. In other words, we know that this sound will likely resolve functioning as a dominant 7 or a German augmented 6, and so that's the muscle that we're trying to train today. So basically, we know this chord will resolve to either C something or D flat something, or they're in harmonics, and we are ready to look at the chord in the context of all of the keys. Although, small hint about your homework, Bing word does favor giving you the exact same starting chords, so the resolution as the dominant and the resolution as the German, as those first 2 chords, and then he goes ahead and picks 3 random keys thereafter. So the rest of this video is us just solving this chord in almost all of the major and minor keys. The only note I want to make is that I'm going to all the flatted keys rather than the inharmonic sharp keys, just for the sake of ease. All right, so if we start with C major, there is a C in there, there is no D flat, so therefore the resolution that we'll have is a German to a C major. Now C minor. Once again, there's no D flat, there's only a C, so we're going to have a German going to the C minor. All right, now how about D flat major? There is both the D flat and the C, so your 2 options for that would be to use this chord as a 5 of 1 or 5/7, or to use it as the German of the 7. How about D flat minor? In that case, we only have the D flat, so we only have the 5 to the 1. Or excuse me, minor. Okay. How about D major? Well, we only have the D flat, or rather C sharp, so that's going to be the 5 of 7, and this whole chord will have to also be misspelled to G sharp, let's see, G sharp, B sharp, D sharp, F sharp. Going to the C sharp. D minor. We have the 7, the C. Therefore, we've got the German of 7, and that would be diatonically major. So let's see here. We'll have E flat. We have the C. So the C is the 6th scale degree, so we'll have the German of 6. And in that case, that's diatonically minor. So German to minor 6/4. Okay, how about E flat minor? Well, now we have that D flat is available on the flat 7. So now we've got the 5 of 7, big 7. Okay, how about E major? We have the C sharp available to us. So once again, we have to misspell this to G sharp, B sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and go to, let's see here, that was the 6. 1 in E, so that's minor. 5 of little 6 going to 6. Okay, and how about E minor? Now we have the major 6 available, the big 6. So we've got the German of big 6. All right, here we go. F major. We have C is the 5 of F. So therefore, we've got the German of 5. Okay, and let's see here, F minor. Okay, now we've got 2 notes available to us. Either the 5, or we could go ahead and do that German again. And that could be interesting because it's German minor this time. German of minor 5. Or we've got the big 6 with the D flat. So we could do the 5 of 6. So 2 possible answers there. Okay, G flat. We've got that D flat again available to us. So we've got G flat. D flat is a 5 of G flat. So we've got 5 of 5. All right, how about G flat minor? But once again, it's the same. We've got the D flat. We still don't have a C in there, so we still have the dominant of 5. And this time you could either resolve it to little 5 or big 5. Are standard in those. All right, here we go. G major. We do have a C in there, so therefore we've got, that's the 4 of G. So we could do the German of 4. Okay, and if we go minor, still just that 4, but this time it's going to end up being diatonically minor. So now we could do the German of little 4. Here we go, A flat. Now this one again has 2 possible places. We've got the C, which is the 3 of A flat. So we could do the German of little 3. Or we also have the 4, which is D flat. So we could do the 5 of 4. 2 possible answers there. Now let's go ahead and make it A flat minor. This time we're only left with the little 4. So therefore, we can only solve this chord as the 5 of little 4. Okay. All right, how about A major? Again, this note here is C sharp. That's the 3 of A. So we could solve this as the 5 of 3. And there's no C present, so that's the only chord available. How about A minor? Once again, it's that magical 3. This time that's a C. So C is the 3 of A. And so therefore we could have the German of the big 3. Now I want to clarify one little bit here. So you might be thinking, well, C sharp and C, those kind of are the same thing, aren't they? Except just a half step away. But the difference is how this chord, if you recall, that big A flat or G sharp functions. It can, this chord can only relate to the C sharp in a dominant way. It doesn't relate to it in a German way. That's why that's only available to us as the dominant in the major and as the German in the minor. So feel free free to ask clarifying questions if that one doesn't quite sit well with you. I can imagine that might be a little tricky. But we're going to move on now to B flat major. And in this case, we've got the C. C is the second scale degree of B flat, so therefore we can do, and that would be minor, we can do the German of 2. All right, and let's do B flat minor. In this case, now we have both the C and the D flat, so we could do still the German of 2, or we could do the 5 of D flat, which is the 3. Or the only thing is that with that 2, it's technically diatonically diminished, so the likelihood of that is pretty low. Because that's not really how the 2 would diatonically appear, but I suppose you could borrow it, you could justify it. It's a little trickier. You could just say that the best answer would be 5 of 3. Okay, and now B major. In this case, we have C sharp, B, C sharp, and C sharp is the second scale degree. And so that's going to be the one that's resolved as the dominant. So G sharp, B sharp, D sharp, F sharp, going to the, oh, minor, excuse me, to the C sharp minor. G sharp dominant, going to a C sharp minor, okay? And the last one being B minor. And once again, it's that same case where it's the 2. So let's see, we've got 5 of that 2. But once again, similar to the B flat that we just looked at, the quality of that 2 should be diminished. So it would be kind of strange. Well, it'd be strange to do that resolution. One more kind of better answer, if you don't mind throwing in the Neapolitan, would be to say that that is the German of the Neapolitan. Because the Neapolitan, again, is the major chord built on, there you go, on flat 2. Okie dokie, I hope that wasn't too much, and hopefully that showed you how cool this dominant quality sound is, and all of their possible places they can resolve.